You don't know it, but you're blind, not physically, mentally. Whenever you walk into a room, you hear voices, you see faces, but you never truly observe them. You think you're not revealing anything important, when in reality, you are, and you assume everyone has their guard up when most of them don't. The worst part? You believe you have the upper hand when you don't. But the problem isn't you. You've simply been conditioned to trust your instincts. But what if I told you could get anything from anyone without even asking? You could extract every single secret without lifting a finger. You could control situations without saying a single word. That's the power of observation. You might be thinking, Shonen, kids observe and learn things too. Well, that's exactly why a toddler is a faster learner than you. Because while you're distracted, there's always someone out there, watching you closely, analyzing every move. Someone like Ayanokoji Kiotaka. After studying more than 10 videos and reading the book What Everybody is Saying by Marvin Carlins, I've identified the top 4 techniques to make you an expert at learning just by observing. But beware, this knowledge is powerful. Use it wisely and make sure you watch until the very end, because the last tip is the most critical one. The first step to overcoming your blindness is detaching yourself from emotions. The moment you start observing others with emotions, you miss the bigger picture. Think about it. Remember a time you argued with someone? Instead of focusing on their words, their reasoning, you just focused on your anger. Maybe they were right, but you never even considered it. Or what about when you were talking to your crush? Instead of catching the subtle hints in her words, the ones that could have given you a real shot, you were too busy wondering, does she like me back? This is what separates you from someone like Ayanokoji Kiotaka. He never lets his focus get clouded by emotions. Instead, he seeks the true intentions behind every word, every action, even from those closest to him. Because remember, words can lie, but the body never does. So how do you fix this? Next time you enter a room, just observe. Don't think about your friends. Don't focus on their conversations. Don't analyze their outfits. Just observe. And most importantly, don't feel anything. Even if you don't like what you see, don't react. Because modern society has conditioned you to react to everything. But you're not an NPC, are you? So break free. Notice how people react when you start talking. Notice how they shift when someone cracks a joke. It's a proven fact. People tend to glance at their crush when they laugh. So if you just observe, you can easily figure out who's into who. Watch their talking patterns. See how they interact with everyone. It will reveal the strange reality of human nature. But wait, how can you observe the environment without looking like a creep? Well, that brings us to the next tip. You might think you're flawless. You believe you understand your emotions, that your feelings are justified, that your actions make sense, but most people don't like you. And the worst part, you don't even realize it. There are snakes in your own school. They pretend to be your friends, but the moment they get the chance, they'll stab you in the back. Yet you go through your day without questioning anything you do. That's exactly what a self-absorbed person looks like. And that's why you need to step out of your bubble and watch yourself, like an outsider. Look at yourself as if you were seeing yourself for the first time. Is your tone confident, or are you just rushing? Are you strong, or are you just acting tough? Do you even think before you speak? The moment you start observing yourself like this, your entire perception of yourself will change. Most people never ask these questions, and because of that, they stay blind forever. A CEO doesn't just think about what he says, he thinks about how he says it. One wrong move, and his entire company could collapse. So here's an activity for you. Act like you're someone else studying you. Imagine they're making a documentary about your life. How would you react? What would you do? Do you laugh at cringy things just to fit in? At first, you'll realize something painful, that you've been a complete idiot, doing things you never even wanted to do. But after that, you'll start making changes. Changes so that whenever you observe yourself, you feel proud, you feel better. Because remember, 0% better is still 0. But 0.1% better every day? That makes you 36 times better in a year. But now that you've observed yourself, and learned to detach your emotions while observing, how do you make others observe you? That's exactly what tip number 3 will teach you. Most of you think silence is a conversation killer, so you try to fill the gaps with meaningless words, stuttering, awkward laughs. But in reality, the person who controls the silence controls the conversation. The moment you stop talking, people feel uncomfortable, and to escape the silence, they'll say something, anything. And sometimes, that one thing is the vital clue you were looking for, because a perfect pause is more powerful than a perfect sentence. In the business world, there's a saying, whoever speaks first loses the deal. Now take a look at your conversations. Do you talk too much? Do you overextend explain yourself? Do you ever pause and just observe? If not, then congratulations. You're just like 90% of the sheep out there. Here's how you fix it. Next time you're in a conversation, pause just 2 seconds before speaking, and you'll notice something shocking. They'll start talking even more, trying to prove their point, trying to make themselves feel superior, while you just observe, calm, silent, in control, just like Ayanokoji Kiotaka. But here's the real question. After observing all of this, how do you prepare yourself? That's where the final and most lethal tip steps in. Something is happening in your life right now, and you don't even realize it. Everything happens for a reason, but not everything happens independently. Once you start observing the patterns, you'll see it, because everything has a pattern. People, conversations, events. If you notice someone drinking Starbucks every day, it's not just coffee, it's a habit, a need, a pattern. And if you offer them coffee, they might lower their guard, and suddenly, you're their best friend. This isn't just about socializing. You can use this in business. Imagine you're negotiating with a cocky entrepreneur. He refuses to agree to your terms. But then, you remember, in a past conversation, he mentioned that he always wants the best deals first. So you play into his pattern. You make him an irresistible offer, but with a catch. This is a one-time deal, first and last chance. And just like that, panic sets in. His ego tells him he can't miss out. He takes the deal. This is what happens when you observe the patterns and stay 2 steps ahead. But be careful, because this knowledge, it's a double-edged sword. Used with the wrong intentions, it can cause disaster. There's a saying in sales, enter the conversation already happening in the customer's mind. But 90% of people live in the moment, thinking, if I do this, what will happen? Then there are people like Ayanokoji. He doesn't just think about 1 move ahead, he thinks about 10. This is how you become untouchable. This is how you stay calm while others panic. This is how you become someone as clever as Ayanokoji Kiotaka.